Let's move into the last segment of the day then, and that is Coach Frank's charts. And, Frankie, I think it's easy to say that this is one of the most popular segments we do each and every week here on the show. The team loves it. I'm not going to delay it at all. You find some of your favorite setups heading into the weekend. You share them with us here on the Halftime Show. What do you got for us today?
Yeah, I'm excited about it. It is that time of the trading quarter that you are going to have less to work with all these earnings coming up right now. So, I mean, it's always just good to mentally prepare yourself that. And maybe I'm just saying that to myself, but maybe there's somebody else out there.
Say it again. I need to hear it again.
You're not going to find as many things as you would like. Well, you are going to find them, and you're going to realize, oh, they have earnings next Monday. That's not going to give me the time that I need. But you'll always find something that is going to work. And listen, I'm going to find that one diamond in the defensive area, and I'm going to throw this to you, Matt, right out of the gates, and that is General Mills, GIS. As a whole, I agree there's not a lot of things that are, screaming buy to me in any of the defensive areas, really. But I really am very interested in this development on Goldman General Mills. We had that big pop on earnings, right? I remember you guys talking about it in the halftime report the day that it happened. I was lurking in the chat. We take out all of that resistance, have snapped back into the 9 without really any clear overhead until that 64 marker. I hate to say it, but I'm looking at GIS as basically a momentum play off of the 9, going and above today's high, below this little floor that we put in over the course of this week on the intraday, and look to try to work into that 64. Not the sexiest swing trade name of all time, but I think you have to like the momentum that we've seen this. I think on these guys, I think you have to like the space that we have to work into that 64 handle. I think we can make risk to reward work. So I'm going to throw this one to you first, Manny. I'm going to give you I'm going to let you throw some cold water on GIS here.
Maybe. This is how, just a little bit of inside baseball for Team Tackle here. This is how our scouting report works, or our scouting report meeting works. All of the coaches do their individual scanning before we get into the scouting report meeting. And then one by one, coaches will throw out potential picks that we will discuss and debate. If a pick is just good, it like hardly anybody says anything, and it's just like, move it on, right? We're a bunch of old crotchety guys at this point, just move it on. It's great, move it on. If the pick is garbage, we will tell the coach how bad of a job they did for like 5 consecutive minutes. Like everybody takes a turn shaming each other. It's fantastic.
It's fun.
It's fantastic. But if the pick is like lukewarm and we want to compare it against some other analysis, it will go something like this. All right, let's move it on to the next round. We'll compare it against some of the other ones. Most likely it'll get cut, but let's check it out here against some of its like counterparts. That's kind of where I'm seeing this one, Frankie. It's kind of in that zone where I see it, right? I see it, but then I'm like, I'm analyzing General Mills as a swing trade here.
Yeah.
Right. So I just want
do some crazy things during earnings season, bro.
And then I'm like, but it's earnings season and we gotta So I totally get it. Here's what I like. I like the momentum build here. I definitely like that. I like the resistance chop between like 61.75 and 62. I like that breakout potential there. Kissed off the 9 EMA. You got to like that as well. This is a momentum off the 9. Even in some of the downward movements in price that were very volatile last week, what helped? The 9 did. Let's come into a little higher here, a little closer here. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. I think the evidence is compelling there. So, I definitely see it, Frankie, but would it make a report? I don't know. We're not going to have a lot of beautiful charts to select from.
Sure.
Right. So if this was like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair.
I would veto. Okay. But it's not 3 weeks ago. We're staring at a week of earnings next week, and you got about 80 companies reporting that will have an impact on other areas too. So I'm a little hesitant. I see it. Certainly agree with the analysis behind it. I would just like to see it against some of the other potential trades.
Yeah, I think that's always fair, right? Because you can't trade them all. You can't trade them all.
You know
go ahead, Mark.
I like Lucky Charms. I like Wheaties.
I know you do.
I like Chex. In fact, I particularly like wheat Chex with a little bit of sugar. I love Totino's Pizza, all General Mills. And then I would say that in the scouting report, and then I would say I veto. Like, what in the hell are you trying to do, Swing? Go look at the last 2 years. Try to find momentum plays similar to this on General Mills that will work. It doesn't. It's not. It's hard.
And then you know what I would say? I'd say, all right, that's cool. I'll bring it up next week. And then if it doesn't work out, they don't remember, right?
And
I'm like an elephant. I never forget. I never forget.
I didn't say we were in the scouting report meeting, you two. Yes, that is how the scouting report meeting goes. But again, the thing I love about it is we're all taking it from a different perspective.
Yeah.
And we have very open conversations on this. I think at the end of the day, we all agree on two simple realities here. General Mills is not historically a swing trading stock.
Correct.
Right. But I also think we can agree that in moments where you don't have a tremendous amount of swing trading stocks, if General Mills is acting like a swing trading stock, I think we can still swing trade it.
You can consider.
That's kind of my philosophy.
Yeah.
You know, whatever's happening today is what's going to happen most likely tomorrow, right? That's kind of the general approach I take to trading, for better or worse. So if something's behaving with momentum, I assume that until that's not the case, that is the case, right? Yeah. And so I did expect that this was not going to be one for everybody. I do look forward to talking about this with Tyler, though. But we can move on. That's enough time for General Mills. Probably
you will see who wins this argument between Mark and Frank in the scouting reports if General Mills makes it.
Oh, I'm going to lose. I have no doubt about it.
Mark vetoed.
That's all right. That's all right. All right. Let's move on to something maybe a little bit more exciting, I suppose. And that is going to be, where are you? OPCH. Option Care Health.
I don't know this company. Hold on.
So these guys are kind of interesting to me for, one big reason, I guess two really. This pullback has been into the 9 weekly, which is where we are kind of, fighting along with that daily 50-day moving average. So we have kind of that 1-2 punch of the 50 daily SMA and the 9 weekly SMA. They've been in a great trend. I don't think anyone can dispute the route that they have been on. I'm sure all of us wish we would have went back in time and bought some OPCH. So I really like where we're at there. These guys, when you look at them from a longer term point of view, as far as what's ahead of them that scares you in resistance. I mean, they've been at all these prices before, but there is just nothing that I look at until we get into 37 that says that's tough. That's a tough fight to win, which means we have a good window. Not necessarily that's the target.
I mean, 20.
Did I? Yeah.
You said 37. I was like, whoa.
So no, I do. I maintain the 35. Yeah, the 35.
35. Gotcha.
At the weekly chart. So the 35, there is stuff there. Right?
Are you looking more at longer term here then?
Well, I'm just using that to kind of paint the backdrop of the window that I have to work with. Because this would be still more of a swing, maybe swing into slight position, but definitely more of a swing trade than anything else. What I always like to do is kind of find the windows and things that that scare me off. Because when I look at this trend and I'm thinking, well, where does it, run into trouble? I mean, it could be anywhere, right? I don't know the answer to that. But when I look at the history on the price, there's just nothing that scares me. There's prices everywhere, but nothing scares me until that 35 range, which just means I have room to work.
I agree to a certain extent. I think 35 is like, if momentum explodes and
yes, I'm not saying that's my target. Right. I'm saying that I have room to work. Right.
Yeah. I what I'm suggesting though is you got a lot of chop between 25 and 26. A lot of chop here. And so I think how I would personally structure this trade is a 26 break to a 28 target, a 30 secondary target, because I don't think 35 is viable between this and earnings.
That's right.
Oh, I agree. I don't think that's your target by any means. Yeah. I 100%, at least not in a swing trade. I mean, I hope that that's the case, but
you handed out it there. Does it need to clear 26 for you, Matt, for a trade?
It does
as well.
Yeah,
I think you want to clear this.
It does.
This 26. I think you're looking at either yesterday's high or the high of the week, which is at 25.64 area as what you need to see kind of at the minimum. right? And then where an individual would go into it. But I do feel there's room to work back up because into the 28 is going to be more of the swing trading target. 100% agree with that. But with this trend, is it unreasonable for me to assume that this trend is going to continue? Because I would argue
on the weekly chart. No, I don't think it's unreasonable.
Exactly right. So I'm not saying my target's 38,
but I also
but if we take that out, I think there's room to the upside, not to the 38 upside on a swing trade, but maybe into 30 as a secondary, or more aggressive type of a target.
Gotcha. Interesting weekly pullback, deeper pullback.
It's really, I really like the way that it's developed over the last couple of weeks. I like that we're kind of seeing that scoop, that smiling 9 develop. I wish our intraday tops would have been a little more lined up with one another, right? That would have been, nice. But in a volatile market, that's also, asking a lot. At least as far as I'm concerned. So I'm just looking at these guys continue this momentum. Let's see if we can work up into that 28. That is the first challenge, right? We do have to worry about that one in the shorter term, but I feel like there probably is some room for a swing trade with these guys. Anything, Tim, you'd like to add there?
No, I mean, for me, you mentioned 2560, 2570, some of those intraday levels. I'm with Matt. I actually think you got to clear 26 from the week before personally.
So you like taking out last week?
I like getting that clarity, taking out last week's high, because to me, the pattern's on the weekly chart, right? And that's kind of where I would look for a trigger myself. But I like the general pattern on the weekly chart there, and that's where it lines up for me. So
yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think you got to get a little upward momentum, right? I think you squabble a little bit over exactly what that means to you individually, but I would agree you got to see some movement on that side. Let's talk a couple bears. Let's talk a couple bears here, and then we'll end up on a bull or two. I got 2 I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to throw this one to Timmy the Bear first. And that's Kohls, Tim, KSS.
Interesting. I'll tell you, I actually only have 6 bear candidates so far. I've not done all of my scanning. Kohls was on there, Frank. So I'm already on board with the potential opportunity here. There's a couple things that grab me, but what grabs you from the chart? Why did this one make your list today?
Well, a couple of reasons. One, I mean, we had this big gap down right into that old support level, right at 4650-ish. And then we kind of bounced off of it and then immediately threw in the towel. So there was not much excitement about buying at support, right? Understandably so. I don't know anybody who would be buying it there, but I don't know everybody. Now we've kind of worked back down and have established this nice 3-day floor that is presenting a pretty nice opportunity from an entry point of view. It's going to give us a nice clean little low base cup and handle or inverted cup and handle that we could look to build an entry on. It's also given that 9 EMA a little bit of time to work down towards us to start applying a little bit of pressure. So I like the entry. The entry I thought was very easy to build a trade around personally. Then I like the weekly. We've given up the support. This is a follow through candle on the weekly chart. We broke down. We stuck our nose last week right below support and then came up off of it on the intraday. This is a follow-through candle, in my opinion, on the weekly chart of that recent breakdown. Also puts us below that 50-day moving average, and it also lines up with all of that old floor that they've got in that 46 range going back into 2019. It was a major breakdown back in 19 when we took out that support level. Will it be that big of a breakdown this time? Well, I can only hope if I trade it bearish that is the case, but it certainly doesn't need to be to make it a viable bearish candidate. So I like where we're at on the weekly. I like the development we've seen on the daily. I think it's a very easy trade. Risk reward will be there, right? They're going to have options, whether it's using the top of this 3 candle box for a stop, the 9 for a stop, the pivot from, I guess late last week as a stop. So we have stop options. I just think it really lines up for a very clean bearish trade. So that's kind of my stance on Kohls here.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I mean, low base potential here. Matt's identified several levels that go back historically to tie into what we're looking at right now. That gap down on the 30th was a double downgrade out of Goldman and JP Morgan, citing supply chain issues, retail issues. And you don't have earnings till middle of November. So there's a lot here.
That thing is beautiful. From
hanging by a thread, right?
like that, and retail stocks are out of favor right now because of the whole supply chain issue. Until you get a catalyst from some companies saying, "Hey, supply chain's getting better," that technical setup, whoo, that's a nice chart.
Matt, we're slobbering a little bit. Anything we should hesitate on here? What else you seeing in the chart?
Yeah, it's a bear trade when the market's kissing against resistance. But other than that, we can discuss that later. There's always bearish opportunity. Number one, I like the pattern coming into it. Like the pattern. You're looking at a little bit of a low base consolidation, real tight trigger at 46. You got to like that from an intraday perspective. You see that come in on the volatility. Ding, 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 ding. You're getting punched. You're getting punched. Tyson's got something in the corner over here, guys. It's getting punched, punch, 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 punch. Eventually it's going to break. So it breaks. 46. Where does it go? I do think 43, 44 is a zone that you got to concern yourself with. I don't think it's one of those areas that you can just say, nope, it's going to blast through that. That is major, major, major support, major support, major support, major support. So I do think 43 is a legitimate target here. But even at 43, you only need 1-to-1 at 43, and you easily got 1-to-1 from a reward to risk ratio of 43. I think it gets extremely interesting down to 40 as it breaks 43, and then under 40, it could be free fall time. And so I think you got some ranges to work with in the 40s from 43 first target, 40 secondary target. Underneath that, it's ugly.
Gotcha. One for the bear list there, Frankie. All right, what you got next?
I'm going to let you rapid fire 2 more bears, and I'm going to let you choose.
The bear list will look better than the bull list this week.
I think so. Yeah,
the patterns are better.
Patterns are better.
I'm going to make all of you quickly choose between Clorox, CLX, and FOUR, FOUR. Both breakdowns, both very similar technically from a breakdown point of view. In the intermediate term, Clorox has certainly been struggling longer on as a whole.
Very similar short-term patterns.
Very similar short-term patterns. I'm gonna let you go first. Which one you like best?
Again, I got these fairly similar. I know they're coming from different areas on the chart, right? Short-term downtrend, a lot of volatility here on FOUR. On Clorox, more of a more prolonged downtrend, but again, same type of chop, upward, downward nature, and both clean at support. So I would say, do you like the potential reversal analysis in continuation on FOUR, or do you just want to punch Clorox yet again for the 15th consecutive
while it's down?
Like that's kind of where my head's at, Frankie. And again, I like them both, but since I have to pick here, I'm gonna go with 4 here. I like the number at 75. You could probably front run in front of 75 if I did any detailed analysis on it, but I do like 75 here. It dings there, ding, 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 ding there, ding, 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 ding over here. So I do like that 75 break. And if it breaks 75, there is literally nothing to 70. Underneath 70, there's nothing to 65. Underneath 65, there's nothing to 55. And underneath 55, it doesn't even get ugly. It's still ugly at 47. So I like the downward potential here. Whereas on Clorox CLX here, again, very similar pattern here, very similar, just a little bit more prolonged bearishness in Clorox. But when you're looking at Clorox, a violation of 160, yeah, I mean, you could work yourself down to 150 over the next 3 weeks. I'll take 4. I like the volatility, I like the pattern, I like the potential on 4 a little bit better.
I thought you would say that. I thought you'd say that. What about you, Tim?
I like the trigger on 4 better too. Like Matt just pointed out, that 75 trigger on that weekly chart is significant. It couples up with the daily and the intraday.
It stands out a little bit.
It stands out to me. So I like 4 out of the 2.
Mark?
Oh, 4. It was easy. Yeah.
I think Mark was the easiest one. Mark was, and I'm going to agree. We're gonna all be on the same page on this one. I think they're both very clean, but I do agree. If I were choosing one or the other, I feel like the the downside, I guess, right, of 4 really stands out.
You could get me to sell a naked put on Clorox. You could not get me to sell a naked put on 4.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Okay. I know we're up against the clock, so just 2 more quick bulls, and then we'll call it good for the day. Listen, I'm going to do it. It won't be able to make the reports because we're just a little too tied up on earnings, but I mean, we got to look at IBM, don't we?
Do we have to? I know
How do you not?
Matt's brought it up to me 3 times this
Big
week.
Blue?
I don't.
Well, listen, you should-
Number one safety company in the world. Big Blue, IBM.
Convince me. All right, somebody convince me.
Hold on. I want to be very clear on something. With anybody that will ever watch this program on YouTube, I was joking.
Dude, it's its own sector now because it doesn't fit anywhere else.
It's just IBM. It's Big Blue. It's Big Blue. You got to appreciate that movement. I don't know that there's a trade here, even without the earnings. I do think you like the increase, momentum that you're seeing on it. But Big Blue tied on earnings, probably just more of an interesting chart than a chart that you're running off to prep a trade on, right? But I do think it's interesting. And listen, it's Big Blue. When it's doing something interesting, don't we almost have to take a minute?
This market to recover, Big Blue has to go down.
fair.
I'm kidding.
Enough.
Again, I'm in the mood, guys. I'm
fair
sorry.
enough. Yeah, I could see where you're going with that. All right.
There's some truth to what I just said.
There is. I know that you mean it a little bit. All right. Last one. BNS, Bank of Nova Scotia. One more financial. One of our, Coach Greg's.
Oh man. Oh yeah. I like this. Are we going Canadian Bank Week on?
I think so.
Holiday.
I think so. That looks great. TD's been, Toronto Dominion's been really cooking. A little.
I think it's Canadian Bank Week.
But when I look at some of these Canadian banks that don't have their earnings, and then you look at that pattern on BNS. You're breaking the downward trend line. You're getting the bear stop out day. You're clearing all the moving averages. You're in a sector that at least I like for whatever that is worth to people. Mm-hmm. Should be a really easy trade to prep. We got time till earnings. 65, is really nothing until we get into that level. I'd honestly, time permitting, target it back up to resistance personally, but that's just me. I'm assuming no one has any beef with BNS here.
No, good reversal characteristics, reclaiming the 50-day moving average with some a little bit of momentum, I'd say. And again, we're doing Canadian Bank Week after Canadian Thanksgiving, so it's fantastic.
I like that as well. Nice reversal characteristics, break off those 200. So yeah, I like it as well. I'll put it on the list. Very good.
Awesome. I'm sure we'll have a few more in the reports this week, but always a pleasure hanging out, talking charts with you fine gentlemen and the team. So thanks for having me as always.
Thank you, Coach Frank. You're the best, brother.